Good day to everyone. My name is Urduha Parinas and I'm here to talk about biological traits, which is, I think, propose a theory of personality based on biological factors, arguing that individuals inherit a type of nervous system that affects their ability to learn and adapt to the environment. Genetics is the study of how traits are inherited. A trait is defined as a variation in the physical appearance of a heritable characteristics. It seeks to understand how traits are passed from generation to generation. Hans Eysenck was born in Berlin in 1916 and he moved to England to escape Nazi tyranny and made London his home for more than 60 years. He trained in the psychometrically oriented psychology department of the University of London. He has written 75 books and some 700 articles, making him one of the most prolific writers in the psychology. Eysenck retired in 1983 and continued to write until his death on September 4, 1997. Eysenck's theory is based primarily on psychology and genetics. He is primarily interested in what is usually called temperament. We know that different people have different personalities. Hans Eysenck believed that human behavior is determined by a series of attributes or traits, and now these traits are present in each of us. Through his personality theory, he came up with the famous Eysenck personality questionnaire, which we called EPQ, to categorize people based on their personalities. He elaborated that people are born with personality traits and these traits are a result of our genetics. He also believed that traits remain coherent across different situations and also remain stable over time. He also proposed that although environmental, social, and situational factors can influence these traits, but the influence of these factors is minimal. He believed that external influences matter to about 25% of the influence in these traits, while the majority 75% of the influence of the traits on the personality is genetics. So it all comes from where you're born, and you're actually born with these traits. Now let's move on to the personality dimensions. Eysenck grouped several traits together to initially form two dimensions, which is the extraversion versus introversion, which is the E dimension, and the neuroticism versus stability, the N dimension. Extroverts are sociable, thrill-seeking people who can also get bored easily than introverts. By this, he means something very similar to what Carl Jung meant by the same terms and something very similar to our common sense understanding of them. Shy and quiet people versus outgoing, even loud people. Eysenck hypothesized that extroversion versus introversion is a matter of a balance of inhibition and excitation in the brain itself. On the other hand, the introverts are quiet and reserved. They tend to be serious, averse to risk, but reliable. Neuroticism is the name Eysenck gave to a dimension that ranges from people who are normally calm and collected to the to the to those who are quite nervous. His research revealed that these nervous are even more likely to suffer from a variety of nervous disorder known as neuroses, hence the dimension's name. However, that he was not implying that people who score high on the neuroticism scale are necessarily neurotics, but rather that they are more prone to neurotic problems. Stable people have a less reactive nervous system. In the graphic, when you're between extraversion and neuroticism, you will be aggressive, excitable, etc. And then another traits to another quadrant is outgoing, sociable, etc. So depending where you lie on the in scale or the A scale, one of the quadrants and then that's define your traits and define your personality. Neuroticism versus normality, which relates to compassion and morality. This trait controlled by the levels of testosterone. Eysenck came to recognize that although he was using large population for his research, there were some population he was not tapping. He began to take his studies into the mental institution of England. When these masses of data were factor analyzed, a third significant factor began to emerge, which is he labeled psychotism. He collaborated with his wife to propose this dimension. Like neuroticism, high psychotism does not mean you are psychotic, only that you exhibit some qualities commonly found among psychotics, and that you may be more susceptible, given certain environments, to becoming psychotic. As you might imagine, the kinds of qualities found in high psychotistic people include a certain recklessness, a disregard for common sense or conventions, and a degree of inappropriate emotional expressions. This is the PEM model of Eysenck and named after the dimensions, a comprehensive model for studying human personality, the Eysenck Personality Questionnaire EPQ. I guess that would be all, and I hope you enjoy learning with me. Thank you!